Hey guys, this is Just Incredible and welcome to Pro Wrestling 101. I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about calling a match and whether, it's best to call it in the ring or to plan everything out. I came up in 92. First time I went to a Monday Night Raw. I've never been in a WWE arena before, never been in a WWE ring before. I maybe had 10, 12 matches under my belt. So I kind of got in the ring to see what the ropes felt like, what the bump was like. And as I got in there, started bouncing around, a couple of the veterans kind of peeked outside, through the curtain because they didn't have those big stages back in those days. But, I was like, and it was kind of unnerving because, nobody knew who I was. And here's some, guys like Mike Rotundo, $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, they're kind of peeking in on me. And I didn't understand why, nor did I ask. I was scared to death. But, but back then, guys didn't get in the ring as they do today in WWE or at the Indies or any place, really, and pre-plan their match. So I kind of, we've evolved and things have changed over the years, but I kind of want to, to go through what is more beneficial to you as a performer and as a pro wrestler, whether it's calling it in the ring, the benefits of that, and the benefits or, the not so, the opposite of calling it in the ring, which is planning everything out, which, sometimes could be great and it could be a disaster. There's no in between on those kinds of things. I mean, for me, there's nothing like calling a match in the ring. I never, even though a lot of veterans talk a great game, very few at a big stage for big pay-per-views or big matches, we don't really go out there with, zero in our minds of what we want to do. We usually, of course, I've covered this in some of the other 101s. We have a finish. We have, a little bit of an opening. But, like comedy, like great acting, improv, and doing it with what the crowd is giving you is essential. I mean, I've had matches where I've worked with guys like Jerry Lynn, Rob Van Dam, some of the greats out there, and they're very spot orientated, which is great, but you have to remember a lot. And I've gone out there with those guys and I've stunk, bottom line, because I was so worried about what's the next move. How many, do I have to throw 3 punches or 4? And I was very robotic. Even though I didn't miss any spots, you could just tell that I wasn't being comfortable. I wasn't allowed to flow, if that makes any sense to you. If you're a worker, you know what I'm talking about. But when you go out there with a certain outline of, what you want to do, maybe some false finishes and finishes at the end, to me, it's, the crowd, guys, when things are happening. I remember wrestling with Stone Cold Steve Austin right before when he was the ringmaster, and just as he was starting to gain momentum with the crowds. He was still a heel, but at house shows, the rumble was starting to come. And I was really nervous, It was, I'd say early to late, early 97, late 96, around that time. But anyways, I was working him at house shows, and sometimes we would go 10, 15 minutes, and other times we'd go 4. And I never knew what I was going to get. And, the first time I worked with him, I was like, Steve, hi, hey, what's up? We're working together. What do you want to do? And he kind of, walks around. All right, kid, kick you in the gut stunner. And that was it. I was petrified. I mean, there's Steve Austin. I mean, I was a huge Hollywood Blonde fan, and I'd watch Steve, throughout the USWA and down in Global and all that stuff. So I knew what he was about, and I knew he could go. But, it's unsettling, and I was a youngster at the time, to just go out there and, to give everything to somebody and kind of rely on them to get you through. But what he meant by that, he wasn't trying to be a jerk and he wasn't trying to be short with me. And he explained it to me later on, especially as we grew in knowing each other, is that you don't know when it's going to be right. You don't know what those people in Cleveland are going to feel. And the people in Cleveland might feel something different than the people in Detroit. People in Detroit might feel different than the people in Chicago or New York. You're going to get different reactions, and the timing is not going to always be there for those particular spots. I mean, I've had times where I've had, one match and in one town it goes great. And we tried to do the same exact match in another town and it was completely the shits. And I mean, I just think for me, And not a lot of people can pull it off. I mean, sometimes it's difficult to go out there and feel that. But I think those masterpieces, and you ask anybody out there that's had classic matches, that you can't go out there and absolutely know that this is what it's going to be move for move. And if you do, I mean, more power to you. But I think it just puts you in a position where you're thinking instead of being. And you're missing opportunities. I mean, I've also had opportunities where, guys haven't taken shots when I felt they should have, because that wasn't in the script or it wasn't what we planned. And I mean, sometimes you can't miss those opportunities would take that match from here to here. So I think guys have to get used to a little bit of both, man. I think that the business has changed. Moves have changed, spots have changed, but in calling it in the ring, I mean, especially early on and especially in the indies, man. I mean, so many guys are out there like WrestleMania's on the line. And I'm not criticizing, because I know these young guys, all they want to do is put on the best possible match to impress promoters, impress fans, and make a name for themselves. But they're missing the boat because they could take this opportunity to learn their craft. You're in front of 50 people. Why are you in the ring practicing 50, 60 high spots and everything to a T when you could be out there and just letting it create? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You miss in front of 50 people? That's where we learn and grow. I mean, even the best of the best didn't take too many chances in big shows because the level of, error is a lot less. But still, it's a matter of crowd, confidence, and timing that could just really take your game to the next level. So, I mean, if you're one of those guys that go out there and plan everything from top to bottom, try calling it in the ring. I mean, like I said, the worst that can happen is you mess something up. But guess what, man? You could really discover a whole other aspect of this business that's true in any form of entertainment. The improv, whether it's comedy, whether it's stage acting, anything. I mean, the greats in film, improv in some of those key moments in cinema, in wrestling, and in life is just improvisational. When it's there, you hit it. And if you feel something, go with it. I'm Justin Credible, and that's Pro Wrestling 101.